A deer lowers its head. Morning light filters through the trees. The forest is quiet except for the sound of grass being pulled from the earth. Nothing appears unusual. No alarm calls, no sudden movement, no sign of danger. Then the deer freezes. Its ears pivot. Its eyes focus on something hidden beyond the edge of the clearing. And deep inside its nervous system, an ancient calculation begins. Friend or threat? For hundreds of millions of years, life has depended on answering that question correctly. Most creatures that failed were removed from the story. The survivors became experts at detecting danger. They learned to recognize sharp teeth, predatory eyes, the sound of approaching footsteps, the silhouette of death moving through the landscape. But eventually, some predators discovered a strange shortcut. Instead of overcoming fear, they learned how to avoid triggering it. And once that happened, evolution created something far more dangerous than brute force. It created creatures that could appear safe. Most people imagine nature as a contest of strength. The fastest animal escapes. The strongest animal wins. The predator catches the prey. The prey runs away. Simple. But nature is rarely that simple. Again and again, researchers have discovered species that succeed not because they are stronger, but because they are believed. Their greatest weapon is not speed, it is trust. And nowhere is that more obvious than in the coral reefs of the tropical oceans. Among the vibrant colors and constant movement lives a small fish known as the cleaner wrasse. Its relationship with larger fish seems almost impossible. Predators approach it willingly. Massive fish open their mouths and allow the tiny wrasse to swim inside. The wrasse removes parasites. The larger fish receive a cleaning service. Both sides benefit. It is one of nature's most remarkable examples of cooperation. Over time, trust develops. The larger fish learn a simple lesson. This creature is safe. Then another species enters the story, a fish called the sabre-toothed blenny. At first glance, it looks almost identical to the cleaner wrasse. The same colors, the same movements, the same appearance of harmlessness. But the resemblance is a lie. When larger fish approach expecting help, the blenny strikes. It tears away scales and flesh before escaping into the reef. The victim realizes the deception only after the attack has already happened. Scientists studying this behavior notice something fascinating. The blenny does not defeat the prey's defenses. It bypasses them. The fish are not attacked because they failed to recognize a predator. They are attacked because they believed they had found a friend. And that reveals something uncomfortable. The easiest mind to deceive is often not the one expecting danger. It is the one expecting safety. This pattern appears throughout nature, in forests, in oceans, even in the darkness of the night sky. Fireflies have spent millions of years communicating through flashes of light. Each species speaks a slightly different language, a unique sequence of glowing signals. Males flash, females respond. A simple conversation written in light. For generations, the system worked. Then evolution found another loophole. Researchers discovered that certain female fireflies had learned to imitate the signals of other species. The deception is astonishingly precise. A male sees what appears to be a potential mate. The signal is perfect. The timing is perfect. Everything appears genuine. He flies toward the source. But there is no mate waiting. There is only a predator. The closer he moves toward what he believes is opportunity, the closer he moves toward death. The signal is real. The meaning is false. And nature repeats this lesson over and over again. Deception rarely succeeds by appearing frightening. It succeeds by appearing familiar. Humans often think deception belongs to civilization, politics, advertising, crime, manipulation. But deception is far older than humanity. Long before the first city existed, nature was already conducting psychological warfare. Every mimic, every disguise, every false signal, every imitation, life discovered something profound long before humans arrived. Controlling perception can be more powerful than controlling force, because behavior follows belief. If an animal believes something is safe, it behaves differently. If it believes something is dangerous, it behaves differently. Reality matters, but perception often determines the response. And suddenly the story becomes much larger than fish and fireflies, because humans are also creatures built around trust. Our species survived not because we were the strongest animals. We survived because we cooperated. We shared information. We formed alliances. We built families, tribes, and eventually civilization. None of that would have been possible without trust. Every friendship depends on it. Every business depends on it. Every society depends on it. Most people think civilization is built from concrete, steel, and technology. But beneath everything lies something invisible. A belief that other people are generally telling the truth. A belief that cooperation is worthwhile. A belief that trust is usually rewarded. Without those assumptions, society begins to fracture. Yet the very thing that makes civilization possible also creates vulnerability. Researchers studying human psychology have repeatedly found something surprising. People are not particularly good at detecting deception. In fact, most individuals perform only slightly better than chance when trying to identify lies. The confidence people feel often has little relationship with their actual accuracy. In other words, we are far less certain than we imagine. And perhaps that should not surprise us. A species that trusted nobody would never have built civilization. But a species that trusted everyone would constantly be exploited. Evolution did not create a perfect solution. It created a compromise. Good enough most of the time, until it isn't. The deer in the forest eventually returns to feeding. The danger, whatever it was, never appears. Or perhaps it was never there. The forest grows quiet once again. But the ancient calculation never stops. Friend or threat. Every animal performs some version of it, including us. We make the judgment when we meet strangers, when we hear promises, when we watch faces, when we read messages on screens. Our brains are constantly searching for clues about intention. Most of the time, the system works. Most of the time, trust is rewarded. But nature reminds us that every system can be manipulated. Every signal can be copied. Every instinct can be redirected. The fish believed it found help. The firefly believed it found a mate. And both were responding to information that appeared perfectly genuine. Perhaps that is the most unsettling lesson hidden within these creatures. Not that deception exists. We already know that. It is that perception and reality are not the same thing. They never were. Every living thing experiences the world through signals, fragments, interpretations, educated guesses, not direct access to truth. And that includes humans. We spend our lives constructing maps of reality, maps of people, maps of intentions, maps of trust. Yet maps are not the territory. They are only approximations. And somewhere beyond the limits of perception, reality remains larger than anything we can fully understand, which means the ancient question continues. In forests, in oceans, in cities, in every conscious mind navigating an uncertain world, friend or threat, because the most successful predator is not always the strongest. Sometimes it is the one that never appears dangerous at all, the one that wears familiarity like a disguise, the one that enters through trust instead of force. And perhaps that is why these creatures feel so unsettling. They reveal something that extends far beyond biology, a truth woven into the fabric of life itself. To trust is necessary. To trust is dangerous. And there is no way to separate the two, because every meaningful connection begins with the same risk. the possibility that what appears friendly may only be pretending.